Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. David O'Brien is the president and CEO of Quantum5, great friend of this event, making huge strides in our industry, making big changes on the forefront of a whole lot of things. He's supporting us Dare to Dream today. Dave O'Brien, I love the mask. Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Ted, there's only one reason you could get me in this mask, and that's about doing good for leukemia and solving cancer problems. I would tell you it was all about you, but it was really more about whatever I can do to support
Oh.
this. Hey, we're glad to be here, and I love it just like last year when you did this special event.
Well, thank you. And Dave, we are greatly appreciative of you and the Quantum5 family. This event is supporting this year, the Dare to Dream Project, which is the children's initiative at the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So a lot of times the children need different treatments because the adult treatments have long-standing impact on their health in the future. So LLS is in the process of raising $175 million for the children, and we'll do our small share here. So, Dave, thank you so much for all that you do and all you do for our industry. I want to talk to you.
Ask for the rest of it.
Yeah. Go ahead. I want to chat with you a little bit today with our audience and talk a little bit about what you're seeing in technician hiring. Very, very dominant topic right now, and retention trends based on some of the surveys that you are doing.
You know, Ted, this is an area that has become a key focus for us, right? It's been an industry focus, but what Quantum was able to do this May with our acquisition of ESI Trends was to be able to tap into knowledge. Ted Crable founded ESI Trends 24 years ago. And the reason we at Quantum were able to complete the acquisition is Ted wanted the firm to go to a company that would start to really implement solutions with dealers, to be able to bring not just data. I'm going to share data with you today, but I know you're going to say, Dave, what are we supposed to do with all that data, right? And, you know, what Ted wanted and still wants, because he's still with us, is how do we take this information about techs? How do we give it to the great dealers that are watching and general managers today and utilize it so that more techs stay where they are and that we create environments in dealerships that make techs go, I don't have a reason to go anywhere else. I love this place. This is where I belong.
Big topic right now, Dave. So give us some insight. What are you seeing right now, and what do we need to be aware of?
Well, first, let me give you the background, right? So our firm is blessed with the opportunity to participate in workforce studies for NADA, for OEMs, and really try and understand what is going on, not to what we think is going on. And so by doing that, we're able to look at year over year changes in the industry, thanks to the work Ted has done for 2 decades. So when you look first at the good news, right? So let's start with simple stuff. And you go, what happened from last year to 2021, right? What happened that should make us all say there's good things going on in technician workforce issues? So you start with this idea that says turnover has dropped. And the good news is that turnover amongst technicians in dealerships across the nation has gone from 30% turnover in 2020 down to now 28%. And so 2% may not seem like a lot, but you know, as James Clear in Atomic Habits says, if we take little steps forever, we eventually get there, right? We didn't have to take a huge step, but we see things starting to get a little better. We also see that the number of technicians that report through the Net Promoter Score surveys that we do, gosh, we did almost 15,000 technicians alone so far this year, right? And when we look at that data, the number of them who say, I think I'm going to go shop for a new job is dropped from 22% down to 19%. So dealers are doing things right now that are causing technicians to go, all right, I don't think I'm going to leave. And I'm not even going to start sniffing around as much for should I be going somewhere else.
Okay.
And I think when you look at some of those positive trends too, right, there's been a growth in wages for technicians. Um,
Clearly.
they they've seen dealers making inflation adjustments to the flat rates.
Yeah.
They're doing the things that are working on their schedule, right? Because we've been short, we've been asking a lot of technicians, hey, how about some extra Saturday time? How
Yeah.
about this? How about that? You know, and they say right now they see improvement in their work-life balance. They see improvement in dealers trying to, coordinate compensation for them. So there's a lot of positive, I think, happening.
Any negative things that you're hearing, Dave?
What we look to is what do they say in those surveys that we do, and what we try and understand is what's causing you to not want to stay at the dealership. And increasingly, technicians say that over the last 2 years, there's been a burnout factor.
Yeah.
And it's not something that they know how to control. Hey, we've all been in this short inventory process, but that also means that trucks show up with more cars at one time now. And we've been looking at these technicians and going, hey, we got to get these out before the end of the month. So we need you to do some overtime for help us prep these cars, help us get them ready. Accessories had to be installed. We also have techs today who they get a customer car and they start to work on it. And then we say, by the way, the part won't be here for 2 weeks. It's just going to be slow. So put that car aside, put your income on that car on hold for a little bit, and then go work on something else, and then juggle. And maybe we'll get the part faster, maybe we won't. And so you have those things moving in concert that have created a different kind of stress for techs. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is. And you mentioned inventory. Part of that inventory, Dave, is the hours that the technicians sell. What are you seeing in terms of pay for those hours and where that falls in importance for the technicians?
So, when you look at technicians who say, I'm not happy, or I'm not as engaged, or I'm thinking of looking elsewhere, right? Pay still comes out the number one issue. Now, they give their dealers credit for the fact that, again, some inflation adjustments to flat rates. They give their dealers credit for, okay, you're trying to compensate me better. But interestingly, Ted, they still cite, when you go one level deeper, what's wrong with pay. They don't say, I just want more. They talk about things like there's still some of that favoritism stuff that we as leaders, we have to work on, right? Yeah. They say that the way work is getting assigned, things we've heard for a long time that they still watch. And this is a younger generation of technicians now, and they're just pretty vocal about, okay, why isn't it fair? Why isn't it done differently? Why isn't it more equal? And I think it's something that all of us helping fixed ops teams, we just have to stay on top of talking to leaders about this generation isn't going to tolerate any inequity in those processes. You also see a significant number of technicians when you dig deeper and go, why are you thinking about leaving? And they go, I don't want to do this anymore, meaning physical wear and tear on their bodies.
It's hard work. Yeah.
The delays in parts, the hard work, add in some weather in different parts of the country, right? Whatever that is. And they go, I don't want to do it. And lastly, I think there's some disruptors who are skillfully getting inside the heads of our technicians. I think their name is Amazon. I think their name is fleets that have vehicles like Amazon on the road,
Hmm.
and they're buying, Mercedes Sprinter vans as fast as they can. They're delivering Amazon packages, and they're going, Mr. Ings, you're a skilled Audi technician. Would you like to never work a weekend again? Would
Mhm.
you like to have a air-conditioned, comfortable facility to work in? Would you like Amazon stock? There's different disruptive entities now doing fleet activity and delivery activity
Yeah.
more than in the past.
And those companies like Amazon, there's an unlimited budget to offer those types of things. So that's interesting that you say that. What about in terms of the dealership as a good place to work or not? What are you hearing back on that?
So we see more of the techs today inclined to tell us that when you look at the net promoter score they give their store, there's a greater propensity for techs. We've seen an increase of about 12 points in the net promoter score saying, I do work at a good place. I would tell my family, I would tell my friends, this is a place that they should come to. And I think even more optimistically is there've been an increase in would I recommend sales, and sales saying would I recommend service, right? So we're seeing some good movement in those areas. Um, I say good because it's in relation to where we've been, right? I don't say it's been good as in we should take our eye off the ball, though, Ted. We still have lots of room to work on it. When only 6 out of 10 of our technicians have been there for 3 years or more, we have room to get better, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What are you seeing out there? Maybe share some retention strategies that you've heard from the leaders in fixed ops, because I know you're working with a lot of them in this space.
Yeah, so I have boiled it down lately to a top five list, right? When I talk to dealers about this, I just go through these five, Ted, and I always hope that they're helpful. Some of them you don't need quantum to do. Okay, so these are things that I hope our audience here can just take some notes on, because if you start to do these things, you don't actually need some help. Number one, my number one recommendation is hire for retention, right? When you look at your current staff and you go, if I had to rehire them today, would I do it? And okay, why did I hire them? What was I thinking? And go look at the hiring decision process right now, right? How many interviews? How fast did I go? How slow did I go? What did I put the candidate through as an experience? We think a lot about employee experience. We think a lot about customer experience. How about the candidate? What did we put them through? How long was it? How difficult? What should we be doing to hire for retention? What data did I bring in? Did I use any behavioral data? Did I use consistent interview questions? What did I do to hire for retention? Number two, when you listen to technicians, one of the things they tell us is the communication wasn't great in the dealership. So I tell service directors all the time, so go think differently about communicating. What are we doing to facilitate communication other than walking around and saying, hey, if you guys need something, let me know? Well, are we using other medium to communicate? Have we thought about how technology and texting, or texting apps like Slack, or communication apps like Teams inside our Outlook programs? What can we be doing differently to communicate? Because we have 45% of our dealership workforce now is either a millennial or a Gen Z.
Hmm.
You and I have some of these as kids, right? So as a parent, you and I know, okay, I got to communicate differently. And in a dealership environment, we got to redefine it. We don't even give some people paychecks. They get direct deposit. So I can't do a paycheck stuffer. I can't just hang
No.
something in a meeting room. I got to approach communication different is my number two. Number three, I tell them to include everybody in how are we going to solve problems around employee experience. We can't run from this conversation. We gotta run towards it. Firemen put out fires because they run into fires. Service directors have to run towards how am I going to make the employee experience better for you? And we've got to say, what can we? They're not going to just say, I want more pay for less hours.
Hmm.
They say things like, I was at a Honda store in Ann Arbor, Michigan, about 3 weeks ago. And one of the technicians came up to me and he said, I would like to help create an advisor thought tree about how to ask the questions around a repair that doesn't always happen. Before they just hand me the car and they go ride with this customer, if they would do this and ask this and ask this, I go, come on, let's build it. I go, I don't know what you know, but I know how to build a decision tree. Come on. And then we got a couple of advisors together.
Okay.
Get in a room, right? Let's solve this by including them. My number four recommendation always is start redefining the onboarding and career plan process. It's interesting. Techs look at you and you talk to them deeply about why are you thinking about leaving, and they go, there's no real career plan for me. What's the difference? I don't see what my future is. And we go, okay, we define onboarding. You talk to the same deal as I do, Ted. Sometimes they define onboarding as a half a day. Mm-hmm. I define onboarding as the first 100 days. Mm-hmm. I define career planning as everything from 100 days to 3 years, right? It can be as simple as what's the book we're going to help them read? What's the class when they start making more money that we send them to learn financial planning activity with their spouse so that when they break 100,000, they now save some, right? Mm-hmm. What are the things we do that make them go, my career belongs here, and here's how they grow me as a tech and as a person? And then my number five, you wouldn't expect me not to cover it, but we do have to start reimagining schedules and compensation, right? It's not going to be easy. We have a consumer base that we've trained for 100 years. Bring us your car during these hours. We've now included Saturdays. We have stores running multiple shifts, right? And yet, if we don't start reimagining some of how we're going to create hours, create shifts, you and I are good friends with some folks in Texas that are reimagining work schedules, right? You've helped them do it, right? We have to continue down that path. We have to help and go, what could we try? It doesn't have to work perfect, but we have to make progress.
Right.
And our teams have to see us trying to make progress to give them different ways to say, I'll stay in this industry. So those are my top five. If we do those things, it'll help.
Dave, here we are. We're in mid-November, Thanksgiving next week. Maybe 6-7 weeks left in the year. December's coming up. You've got something going on in December. You've got an event. You have an upcoming hiring and retention event. Tell us a little bit about that. Who's speaking? What's the topic? Give us the info on that.
So I learned this by watching others, which is we've got to do a good job, not just because it's Thanksgiving, but of giving back. And so what we wanted to do is give Ted Crable from ESIQ. Okay. We wanted to give Sarah Van Tyne from our firm.
Yep.
I wanted to give Dave Foy, the Fixed Ops Mastermind, a chance to talk more about technicians. And I wanted to share the latest in the NADA data with our audience. I wanted to help the Quantum clients gather in a virtual environment for a couple of hours where we could share this. But I also wanted to broaden it to a wider audience. So I also have invited Kathy Polachko. Kathy is
Oh yeah, I know
the
Kathy.
VP of GP Strategies Automotive Practice.
Yeah.
Um, just so tapped into what are OEMs thinking about how we grow our teams and what's going on across a wide swath of global OEMs and the work they're doing. So those folks are going to gather together with everybody that wants to join us so that we can share some data and share with, okay, how do we move forward with new and different solutions? Quantum wants to help, but I also want to just share what dealers can do without paying somebody. So I want to do a little bit of both before this year ends. And thanks for giving us an opportunity. The Quantum website will have links to it, and
Okay.
people will be able to sign up for it.
Okay. So that's coming up in early December. Dave, I want to thank you and wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. Your boys are very much involved in the industry. I've had a chance to interact with them, and you got a great family. So, Dave, on behalf of the entire automotive industry, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
And the same to you and your family, Ted, and to all the good folks of automotive. May we all stay thankful for the good things that have been provided to us and this great industry that takes care of so many in communities. There's people from dealerships feeding the homeless today, Ted, and it happens everywhere in America because of the way dealers have built the business.
Yeah. Everybody, David O'Brien is the president and CEO of Quantum5. You can check out Quantum5 at quantum5.ai. They're all over social media. You can't miss them. He has a big, growing team. He's working on a lot of amazing things. I'm looking forward to that event in December, Dave. And again, thank you for all you do.
Dig deep in your pockets, everybody. Donate. Thanks, Ted.
There we go. David O'Brien here today at the Dare to Dream Fixed Ops Roundtable.